Hi everyone, today we're going to have a very special session called Do They Have to Bake the Cake? Where religious liberty meets free speech. This session will feature Lathan from the First Liberty Institute. Please join me in welcoming them.
Thank you, and thank you all for being here. I want to say before we get started, it's kind of a big topic, and I've got 25 minutes to try to cover it all, so I'm anticipating taking questions across the hall after the session. But if I happen to get through it and there's some time for questions, I'll be happy to take questions from the stage as well. So the first rule of public speaking is know your audience, right? So let me do just a quick informal poll of the room here. How many of you would consider yourselves to be very religious? Okay. Somewhat religious. Okay. Not religious at all. Okay. Let me talk to that third group first. Okay. For the rest of my presentation and really for the rest of your life, when you hear someone use the phrase religious liberty, what you should hear is freedom of conscience, because that's what it means for you. For those first two groups of people, their conscience is informed by their faith. It's informed by the teachings of their religion. For you, your conscience is informed by maybe the way your parents raised you. Maybe it was a great teacher that you had that focused on morality and not just a subject matter. Maybe it's just somebody that you look up to, and that's fine. I don't care if it's Jordan Peterson or Kim Kardashian. Actually, if it's Kim Kardashian, I do care. Talk to me afterwards. We'll get you the help you need. But that's what this means to you, is freedom of conscience. It means the freedom to live according to your beliefs without the government compelling you to participate in an official state-approved belief system and staying out of your way and letting you live according to the beliefs that you were raised with, the beliefs that are your own. So, another quick poll. How many, before you walked in today, had ever heard of First Liberty Institute? Okay, that's why I'm here. All right. So I'm going to move on to just a quick little video, kind of our highlight reel from last year that will hopefully explain a little bit to you about who we are.
Kelly Shackelford,
Hiram Sasser, Jeremy Dice,
Lathan Watts,
Michael Berry,
and Chelsea Yeoman.
First Liberty Institute.
First Liberty.
First Liberty Institute.
First Liberty.
First Liberty Institute.
All right, First Liberty guys, I'm here.
2018 is going to be a huge religious freedom year.
And this is what you all do.
First Liberty Institute is actually the largest nonprofit in the country dedicated exclusively to defending religious liberty rights. Aaron and Melissa Klein, there are bakers out of Oregon.
It is illegal discrimination for the government to disparage someone because of their religious views.
We don't want a First Amendment that can force its citizens to create a message that is a government-sponsored, government-approved message.
People have different beliefs on same-sex marriage. But the one thing I think we as Americans should be able to agree upon is people have a right to have different beliefs on same-sex marriage.
And so the city of Airmont has passed these zoning regulations. The rabbis up there, the local leaders up there call themselves the underground synagogues because they're scared that they're going to either be punished or kicked out of town for simply trying to freely exercise their religious beliefs.
This sounds like something that happened like 200 years ago or something.
Big setback tonight for an evangelical Christian football coach fighting for his right to pray.
The argument that the Ninth Circuit has adopted is basically that if you do anything that's religious at all that someone else can see, then somehow you're working on behalf of the state.
I'm proud of him for standing up for what he believes, and I'm proud of him for putting God first.
This is an outrageous decision that really sets a dangerous precedent for not just Coach, but school employees across the country.
We've got this campaign. Here it is, right there. Look at that. We're calling First Down.
Oh, nice.
This is Coach Kennedy in his pose. We got Coach Kennedy facts.
President Trump tweeted about that twice as a candidate, saying this shouldn't happen in our country.
In the village of Walt Hill, you can find up to 130 people attending the Light of the World Gospel Ministries every Sunday.
It's very outrageous that the village would prohibit this church from using their own building that they own.
A village cannot
not stop a church from expanding and growing its congregation for discriminatory purposes, and that's what's going on with the city.
I was in Bladensburg, Maryland yesterday for a Memorial Day service that could possibly be the last Memorial Day service for the Bladensburg World War I Memorial.
If that were upheld, they would have to go and take down veterans memorials all over the country, and that Court of Appeals covers Arlington National Cemetery.
Think about how close we are to Arlington National Cemetery and what that will mean there, where we have the Argonne Cross there, with the Canadian Cross of Sacrifice.
An Arkansas pastor gave a motivational speech that included references to Scripture. He was invited because he was a former player at this school. He played under this coach. They wanted him to give a motivational talk.
The Cambridge House in Charlotte County banned religious and musical gatherings in common spaces.
The funny thing is that Donna could be studying the Book of the Month from Oprah Winfrey, and that would be all right. But just because it happens to be a religious book in nature, that is now forbidden.
And this is a win for us.
Well, we've won, but the school district won't stop fighting the cheerleaders. They ended up hiring us. We then won at the Texas Supreme Court.
Okay.
It went back to the Court of Appeals where we won again. And now the school district, they won't let it go.
So Sam, you're the valedictorian. It means you worked your tail off for years to get that opportunity, to give this speech.
When a student has the right to be able to give a speech, the school district cannot discriminate based upon the viewpoint that is being expressed in that speech.
You're suing the Air Force. What do you want from them?
Chuck Roberson, it's his retirement ceremony, and even according to the Air Force policy manual, he can pick who does this flag folding ceremony.
The Justice Department is creating a religious liberty task force.
That's great for people of all faiths or no faith at all because it protects everyone's right to believe what they believe.
Kavanaugh's appointment would move the court in the direction of textualism and originalism.
So if we're going to read into the Constitution rights that weren't actually written there, we're going to not know how we're going to be governed. It's going to make things a lot more difficult.
This appointment will affect things like the First Amendment, religious freedom, because it'll affect the balance of the court and what kind of opinions we get in the future. He promised to appoint judges who weren't going to be politicians, who were actually going to act like judges. What's amazing is if you look at Gorsuch, you look at all the lower court judges, the even Court of Appeals judges he's appointed, they've just been excellent. I think we're a big enough country where we can live and everybody can have their freedoms. And I think we can respect the people who have different beliefs on different issues and accommodate them as well. And we can all live in peace with one another. That's what the founders wanted us to do.
Great to have you tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much for being here tonight.
Keep it up. Keep giving those talks.
Thank you so much for your perspective.
It's an honor to have you both on tonight.
Good luck. I hope you make it all the way to the Supreme Court.
So that's a little bit about us. You got just snippets of a lot of our cases there. As was mentioned there, we're a 501c3. We're a nonprofit. That means our clients never get a bill for the legal services. We're supported by donors all over the country. Don't worry. I know there's a bunch of broke college students in here. I'm not going to ask you for money. But it's very important because our clients couldn't afford really to take on the legal system if we were billing them by the hour at an hourly rate for the type of legal services and the level of legal services that we provide. So just a bit about our model. We will defend people of any faith. We have defended Christians. We have a lot of Orthodox Jewish clients right now. We've defended Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, Muslims. We had defended a Native American sweat lodge. I don't even know what you call that religion, but we defended it. It's very important to us. That's what the First Amendment requires, and it's a core part of who we are. Another key part of who we are is we have a volunteer attorney model. So we have about 15 lawyers in-house. You saw a few of them there, but we work with volunteer attorneys all across the country and firms all across the country. That allows us really to take a case anywhere in the country and always have local counsel, which is very important. The other thing that it leads to, because we're working with really outstanding litigators, is that our success rate is 90%. So 9 out of 10 cases we engage in are resolved in favor of our clients. That's unheard of for people on our side of this issue, for other nonprofits that litigate things on other sides of this issue. And my opinion is because of that model that we use, using the best attorneys in the country. So, go to the next slide here. Kelly Shackelford, who was featured in the video, founded us almost 30 years ago. 2012 was the first year that our board authorized us to start taking cases outside the state of Texas. So this map shows you that first year that we started engaging outside the state of Texas. Each dot is a legal matter that we were involved in 2012. There's last year, 2018. Now, when I show this map in Texas, the first question I always get is, what's wrong with Texas? That's how people in Texas talk. What's wrong with Texas? As I said, we started in Texas and we were originally only in Texas, so we have a pretty good name idea and following in Texas, so people know to call us when something's up and we fix it. But you'll notice that there is not a state, is my pointer working? Maybe not. There's not a state without a dot. It's literally all over the country. So I want to focus on one of those dots in Oregon. Do they have to bake the cake? That was mentioned in the video. Our clients are Aaron and Melissa Klein. Sweet Cakes by Melissa was their business, and that's an important point. So do they have to bake the cake? No. Thanks for coming. I'm just kidding. No, the more important question, besides do they have to bake the cake, and what happened in Oregon is, can the government bankrupt their business for refusing to take the cake? Because that's what the state of Oregon did. Aaron and Melissa Klein politely, who had served members of this family before, when they came in and asked for the wedding cake, politely explained why they couldn't. And the couple filed a complaint. The Oregon Bureau of Labor and Industry assessed a $135,000 fine, or penalty, what they call it, against our clients, which in essence put them out of business. They also slapped a gag order on them, told them not to speak their views on marriage publicly. Now, we were able to get the gag order tossed. We could not get the penalty tossed, and unfortunately for Aaron and Melissa, their business does not operate anymore. Now, why couldn't she bake the cake? Why couldn't you just bake the cake, right? People of all faiths have different views on, do you have to bake it or do you not? The important thing is people of all those views be able to live according to those views. For Aaron and Melissa, they spend hours getting to know all of their clients. When her practice was, as she was baking that cake and decorating it, she would pray for God to bless the marriage of the people she was making that cake for. I mean, her faith is baked into that cake. And so here's where we get to where the line between free exercise and free speech gets a little blurry, but that's okay. The First Amendment protects both of them. Okay, for her, this is just, she's living her faith in every aspect of her life, not just where she goes to church on Sunday, how she runs her business Monday through Saturday, okay? But the free speech angle to it is you have the government-approved message regarding same-sex unions and the message that she feels like she would be speaking if she was a part of that wedding, okay? Anything that you have a right to do, you inherently have a right not to do it. So if you have the right to speak, you have the right not to speak. The Supreme Court said many, many years ago, Jehovah's Witnesses cannot be forced to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance in the classroom because they have the right not to speak. You have the right to assemble, you have the right not to assemble. You have the right to worship, live according to your faith, you have the right not to be a part of any faith. That's the first two clauses of the First Amendment. So inherent in a right to do something is also the right not to do it. Man, I'm running short on time. So she was basically compelled by the state to speak the state's message or go out of business. In America, you should never have to choose between your citizenship and your faith, between following the dictates of your conscience and following the laws in America. Any Friedrich Hayek fans in here, free marketeers, okay? In the state of Oregon, the free market would have put Aaron and Melissa out of business, frankly. I mean, it makes me sad for them, but it would have. If this couple goes and finds a reporter, which they did, and it hits the press, I know because I read the hate mail they've gotten. I've seen the tweets and the Facebook messages saying, I hope your kids get cancer. The free market would have done this. The government didn't have to assess a $135,000 fine. Now, would the free market have put them out of business in Texas? Probably not. And that's okay too. Well, maybe in Austin. It would in Austin, yeah. And that's okay too. That's federalism. That's the free market. That's how it works. So if that's your goal, is to prohibit people of faith from participating in the wedding industry, you don't need the government to do it. Let the free market work where it works. So what we're dealing with in cases like Aaron and Melissa Klein's is in the post-Obergefell decision America, you have two groups of people who are looking for a way to peacefully coexist, okay? When Justice Kennedy in the 5-4 decision discovered the constitutional right of dignity and wrote the Obergefell decision, ever since then you've had people on different ends of the spectrum trying to figure out how do we make this work, all right? And there are two ends to that spectrum, extremists on both ends, and they're both wrong, okay? One end of that spectrum is we don't serve your kind here, right? That's not what Aaron and Melissa Klein are trying to do. It's not what any of the people involved in these cases are trying to do. That is Democrat Jim Crow BS that's been illegal in this country for 50 years, and we're not asking to go back to that. Okay, at the other end of that spectrum is the government has the authority to force you to speak a message, even if you disagree with it, or put you out of business otherwise, and that's just as wrong. Okay, the reasonable middle ground here is what our clients were trying to do, what they told the prospective couple that came into their shop. We're happy to serve you any other occasion. We just can't do this one, okay? That should be a way for these two groups of society to find a way to peacefully coexist and live and let live. You won't ask our clients to do your wedding. They won't ask you who you're sleeping with when you come buy a birthday cake, all right? It's pretty simple. It takes lawyers to complicate these things, all right? So that's where we are. One of the questions I was anticipating was, didn't the Masterpiece Cake Shop case from last term, didn't that fix this? Short answer, no. Thanks. No. The longer answer, the Masterpiece Cake Shop case did not address the issue of compelled speech. Justice Kennedy's opinion in that, and another 5-4, he was in a tight spot in the Masterpiece Cake Shop case. Everybody know the case I'm talking about in Colorado, very similar facts to our case in Oregon. Two very big differences. Jack Phillips' Masterpiece Cake Shop is still in business. The government put our clients out of business. Another key difference, Jack Phillips has a storefront. He has off-the-rack pastries that people could just come in and buy, but he wouldn't do a custom event for the couple in that case. Our clients, everything they do is custom. They work out of their home. It's more akin to catering. So everything they create is custom for each client. They didn't have just stuff sitting on the rack that they could sell them and say, well, you're welcome to this, but we can't do that. Okay, two key differences. But Kennedy's opinion in Masterpiece basically said, Colorado, you said some really nasty things about Jack Phillips, and it was clear that you were biased against his religious views from the beginning, and so he couldn't get a fair shot in front of the Colorado Civil Rights Commission, so go back and do it again and stop being mean to Jack Phillips. I mean, that's basically what that decision says. He would not address, can the government compel Jack Phillips to speak that message, okay? Because if you're Justice Kennedy and your two big legacy issues are protection of First Amendment rights, free speech, and same-sex unions, this case puts you in a tight spot, and that's how he threaded the needle between them. Now, in another decision that term, the NIFLA decision, he filed a concurrence where he did say, government must not be allowed to compel citizens to speak a message that conflicts with their deeply held convictions. He never would have said that in Masterpiece, but he said it elsewhere. So what we're doing with Aaron and Melissa Klein's case is giving the Supreme Court, because we have appealed to the Supreme Court, we're giving them another chance to answer that question, the compelled speech question, as it relates to this issue. So, let's go to our next slide. So, how's this all related? Why are you here? How can you help? I'm going to take those questions from the bottom up. How can you help? Live according to what you believe. One of our most popular hashtags is live it out, okay? Live according to what you believe. You have the right to do so, okay? Protect yourself, know your rights. You cannot defend your rights if you don't know what they are, all right? FirstLiberty.org, we have a lot of resources for you. I encourage you, check it out. You can follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you know anything about those, you know you're not necessarily guaranteed to see everything that we want you to see. So our last slide will show you how you can get in contact with us directly and get updates on all of these cases. Now, that last question, how is this all related? There's a reason that religious liberty is listed first in the Bill of Rights. If government can get between a man and his God, or between a man and his conscience, there is literally no limit to what government can do. Just pick your favorite out of the other 10 amendments. Because if a government can force its way in between man and God, do you think they're going to think twice about taking his guns away? Or making him house soldiers? Third Amendment, everybody forgets about that one. Seizing his property, depriving of life, liberty, due process, without due process. So if the first one goes, it is a slippery slope for the rest. But I want to show you a quick video of one of our supporters who makes this point a lot better than I can.
If somebody told us that we were going to be crawling through barbed wire fences and escaping and moving across the ocean to America, everybody would have said, that's absolutely silly. That'll never happen. If they'd caught, let's say, a politician who opposed them, they put him on trial, but the evidence might have been presented, but the outcome was a foregone conclusion. So they had total control of you. That's how a dictatorship is run. My father was, first of all, very patriotic, had strong beliefs in democracy. The people that he helped were, if not friends, very good acquaintances. He knew they were going to get killed. So when he got arrested, my mother got arrested, and my brother, who was 8 years older, got arrested. So my whole family, except me, were in jail. Then my father would have been executed, but my mother managed to bribe the judge. He got sent to concentration camp in lieu of that, where he was, beaten, not fed. I mean, basically tortured. As soon as he escaped, his name was on the radio all the time, and as one of the most wanted people. There was a Secret Service sitting in our front hallway all the time. As you study history, one needs to be vigilant all the time, because you cannot take anything for granted. When you start losing freedoms, it is more than likely that it'll keep on chipping away. The opportunities we have, the ability to express yourself and do whatever you want to do and be able to achieve things without being blocked are unparalleled. The political correctness is ridiculous. I mean, it's just going too far. Defending the ability to have crosses or Christmas decorations just is getting to a point of absurdity. When I think about what was happening in Czechoslovakia at that time, there are parallels, because I think anytime you start taking away people's freedom, it just goes on. And you must take guard in the early stages as opposed to wait and let it all collapse when it's too late. Nobody expected communism in Czechoslovakia when it happened. It happened.
So Peter Kalkas is a major supporter of First Liberty, and Peter Kalkas is an agnostic. He doesn't really have a particular religious belief of his own, but he has seen what happened in his country, and that's why he supports protecting it in this country. So I am almost out of time. Okay, I've got one more slide. Maybe not. Let's go. Try it one more time. Okay, I'll just say it. If you're interested in keeping up with our cases, there it is. Text the word liberty to 474747, okay? You get a text back, it'll take you through some prompts. It will allow us to communicate directly with you. We're not gonna spam you to death. We send out a newsletter every couple of weeks. It's updates on the cases like the Kleins and some of the others that were mentioned in the video. And we'd love to keep you informed as to what's going on. And as I said before, you have the right to live according to your beliefs every day of the week, not just on Sunday. That means in the classroom, that means on campus, that means in your job. You did not hear me say go back to campus and get yourself in trouble and become one of our clients, okay? What you did hear me say is that if living according to your faith, you find yourself in trouble and you think you need an attorney, then you find us. This is all we do. We're really good at it. We'll represent you for free, and we will win. Thank you very much. I'm going to take questions across the hall.